Hello, welcome to InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw.
And I'm Ross Sutherland.
And we are here to talk about a brand new nonprofit called the Mission Street Parks Conservancy.
Not exactly new. It's got a long history.
Actually, it does. It's been around for what?
39 years.
39 years into different guises. But let's face it, it's a big name to talk about that manages 90.5 acres of property. Am I correct?
Not really. Would you
That
like
is
to
correct.
explain why that's wrong?
That is correct.
And if you are a gardener, a master gardener, or any type of gardener, you should pay attention. They need your help. It's a big job maintaining a public garden, right?
That's true.
Well, tell us, why did it change the name from what to what to what? Give us a backstory.
Friends of Busch Gardens has been in existence since 1991, and then before that it was the Busch Conservatory Gardeners. And in our work in the park, we're mainly concentrated in preserving and enhancing the northwest corner of the park. And
that would be Busch's Pasture Park.
That would be Busch's Pasture Park, sorry. And in recent years, we're seeing with continuing budget cuts, which started in 1980, we are seeing a lack of care within the park. By that I mean the average citizen might not see the differences, but when you have a trained eye, or when you care about trees and trees dying, when you care about more meticulous is not quite the right word, but at least more consistent stewarding, then you might want to pay attention to what we're doing, because we formed the Conservancy to partner more tightly with the City of Salem. But in this process, we become our own freestanding 501c3, and as such, we can not only partner with the city and actually combine our resources as far as managing the park, but then we have the ability to fundraise also on top of that.
Well, and this also comes at a time when the Salem Park system is kind of, Busch's Pasture Park used to be the big city park, and now we have Riverfront Park, which is connected to Minnow Brown and Wallace Marine. So a lot of that sort of pedestrian activity, recreational activity has moved out, and Busch's Pasture Park becomes a different kind of park.
And there's another stress to the system, and that is we have a lot of neighborhood parks that are underfunded as well. So the city's really trying to balance a number of different kind of park types. We've got kind of natural areas like Minto Brown. We've got what we would consider kind of an ornamental, a very sophisticated public garden in Busch's Pasture Park. Then we've got entertainment venues like Riverfront Park and like Wallace Marine Park, which generates a lot of money for the city. And then the neighborhood parks. Meanwhile, the city's under stress from water problems, they're under stress from homelessness issues, and they're trying to balance this all out. And I think that something that is ornamental, something that is beautiful, kind of takes second place to things like Wallace Marine that bring an income, or to problems that people see and read about in the paper like homelessness and are demanding changes on. And what gets left behind are the fact that we have 100-year-old trees that are now dying, that we're not able to take care of our landscape beds, that we don't have a space that you can go and look at excellent, horticultural gardens. And that's, I think, what Busch Pasture Park has to offer, not only the citizens here, but from Portland and Washington and other places. It really is an excellent garden that's being underappreciated.
So what is your mission to preserve it and change it and save it, and how can people help?
Well, I think the mission basically is better. We want the park to look better than it is. We want it to achieve its full potential.
And also, we're interested in areas within the park that are totally underutilized, and that we can make them. For instance, there's one where we want to have a classroom space, very natural, created on a terrace area. We're looking for another area where it's not utilized at all, but could be just a delightful small garden for 3 or 4 tables and chairs for people having an outdoor office or having their lunch or whatever. So we're bringing that to it as well. Some more sophisticated design ideas, and just making it more available in more varieties of ways for people.
Well, and that public-private partnership is really a model that the Salem Park system has used for years. I mean, in terms of working with the Friends of Deepwood, the Deepwood Gardeners, and that too.
And Friends of Busch Gardens.
And in ways that the city couldn't couldn't pay enough to have all that. I mean, the cost of that kind of level of maintenance would be exorbitant.
You know,
working
why don't we just take people there? I went out with both of them yesterday, Michael
that's a great
and
idea.
Gretchen, and we got a look at just exactly what kind of help they need. Want to
That
go
sounds
there?
great. Yeah.
Shall we go there?
Let's go there.
Let's go there.
We're standing in the Rose Gardens, which has been a long time project for Bush's Pasture Park as far as replacing roses. Lately, we've been adding whole new rose beds. We've purchased more than 600 roses in the last couple of years in partnership with the City of Salem Parks. This is the Miss Sally's Rose Collection. These roses were on the property when the rose gardens were developed, and they were divided through the graft and planted in these 4 beds behind the gazebo. Part of our project here in the Rose Gardens was lifting them by adding more mulch and height to the newly planted roses and then mulching to keep weeds down. This is a fantastically challenging part of the park to keep weeded, and we also appeal to volunteers to come and deadhead at their own schedule.
We're at an area here in the park that we call the Terrace. It's an underused park. It's got a great kind of view, it's got some great vegetation, but there's no reason for people to come back here. So one thing that we're talking about doing is kind of leveling this space off and creating a kind of a low profile outdoor classroom. And on this side of us, there is a neglected area of the park that used to be a nursery in the early days of the park, and now it's really unused, it's not well cared for, but it creates a great space for picnic areas or eating.
Another project in the park is the replacement of some of the Lord and Scriber flowering trees. There's a fabulous collection of crabapples and cherries in the park, and many of them are reaching the end of their lifespan, as you can see from this tree. We're now just north of the Rose Gardens, and in this area of the park we have about 18 what we call island beds, and they have been neglected for years. This one, as you can see, it needs edging, weeding. We need to identify plant material, this tree peony. So there's lots of work that needs to be done, and these are incredible beds, and they wrap around the north side of the Rose Garden and provide a lot of privacy and seclusion for this part of the Rose Garden. Bush's Pasture Park, along with Deepwood, are really iconic parks because of that variety of plant material, and it is above and beyond what city parks can maintain. They not only do they not have the funding, but they also do not have the staff. Good grief! Help!
That's wonderful.
What did I say?
Yeah.
Seeing is believing. They
Yeah.
need your help. Yeah.
Well, and I know that the Friends of Bush Gardens have been instrumental in interpretive signage in Bush's Pasture Park. They've rehabilitated the Rose Garden, and they've also been very active with the Lord and Scriber flowering tree collection. And can you talk about the kind of projects that you see?
In this project, the Mission Street Parks Conservancy, we're really looking at working with the city to manage the plant material.
I see.
We're not
Very
responsible
different.
we're not responsible for the
mowing,
hardscape.
right.
We're not responsible for the buildings.
I see.
So it's a very limited piece. We feel very strongly that it's a public park. It needs to be maintained by the public. We're stepping into a piece that the city was having challenges maintaining.
Well, good on you.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to get involved with you, where do they go? Is there a website?
We do. It's missionstreetparks.org. And you can volunteer there. You can find out more about our mission, and certainly you can make a donation.
Well, one of the things I like about this is that we are having this partnership develop just at a crucial time when beauty is everywhere around in our area. More and more beauty is being introduced in beautiful projects, and I would never want to see anything go neglected when there's a way to keep it going and looking bright.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for doing it, and thank you for joining us today on InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw.
And I'm Ross Sutherland.
We'll see you next time.